Okay, everyone. So I want to talk to you about college tuition. First thing I want to ask you is, I'm going to give you two numbers, 183% and 20%. What do you think those numbers represent? Adjusting for inflation, over the last 30 years, 183% is how much college tuition has increased. 20% is the increase in minimum wage during the exact same time frame. That discrepancy in growth between the two is making it harder and less affordable for people to go to college than it ever was before. Back in 1987, the minimum wage was $3.35. When you adjust that for minimum wage, it came out to just roughly over $7 an hour. Fast forward to 2017, and the minimum wage is $7.25. In that same time frame, if you were to attend Boise State University, you would, including tuition, fees, and room and board, you would have paid $27,700 to attain a four-year degree back in 1987. Today, that same four-year degree would cost you $57,000 for an increase of 104%. But don't worry, you're one of the lucky ones because you're still under the national average of 183%. And to give you an idea, back then, someone working 20 hours a week at minimum wage, when you adjusted for the inflation, could have paid for their entire college tuition and 27% above that back in 1987 to attend Boise State. Today, if you did that same exact thing, you would still be left with $16,000 in student debt if every penny you made went directly to your college tuition. To give you an idea of the recent growth in the student loan industry, back in 2005, student loans were $500 billion. Fast forward 10 years later, student loans today are $1.3 trillion. It's grown 2.5 times in the last decade. And with those numbers increasing, you also see other things increasing. So we have a delinquency rate of almost 12% now, and that debt is split between only 44 million people, leaving the average student, the average person between 19 and 30 years old, 40% of them have student loan debt, and the average student loan debt held per individual who carries it is just shy of $38,000 in the U.S. And on top of that, the growth for starting salaries has gone up 2% in the last 30 years, from 1987 to 2017, and the average college tuition payment that we have to make is $350 in the U.S., so that's what you're coming out of. So with the higher costs, the debt, and the financial burden, it's becoming a lot harder for people to justify going to college. The problem only gets worse when you consider that nearly 65% of those jobs, or 65% of jobs within the next few years, are going to require post-secondary education. With the automation of the industrial sector, lower education jobs are just going by the wayside, and they're needing more. So the issue comes up because we're going to need these, but people aren't prepared to do that because of the debt that they're going to face in the next 10 years after college. So again, college tuition increases, they've dwarfed what minimum wage increases are, and because of that, going to college has become synonymous with taking on a large amount of debt. This is becoming more increasingly a deciding factor in people not going to college, even though our country is moving towards a place where you have to get it. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
That's interesting.
It's horrifying.
It sounds familiar myself.
So where did